COVID-19 is an example of a black swan event. A swan is usually white. Like a black swan is a rare entity or a rare being. Similarly, black swan events characterize events which are very rare, which happen very rarely in times of history, and they have wide ramifications, usually negative ramifications. They push the world into a tailspin, and they bring about rapid and dramatic changes in the world. So COVID-19 is a black swan event. Brexit is a black swan event. The 9/11 terrorist attack in the United States of America was a black swan event. In the earlier times, black swan events probably used to happen once in a century. But today, they're happening more frequently. And we have no idea when the next black swan event is going to come and disrupt our life massively once again. We absolutely have no idea about it. That's a very interesting trend that we are seeing in the industry today. Friends, these are times of hyper digitization. Digitization is happening at a phenomenal pace, and it's coming up with widespread implications. It's happening in all aspects of our life. It has touched all industries, all facets of human civilization. That's the power of hyper digitization today. There's something else that's happening: innovation and creative destruction of industries and products. So what do you mean by this creative destruction of products and industries? Well, the products that existed a few years ago, they don't exist today. A BlackBerry smartphone is not seen today. Nokia phones were a thing of the past. Kodak camera is a thing of the past. This is because they have been destroyed creatively by their competition. Competition has come up with innovation which these organizations never could imagine that it will come and hit them. So creative destruction because of competition and innovation, and because of accelerated market evolution, has virtually killed many industries, many organizations, many products. And they continue to happen every day. The Fortune 500 companies, which featured in the list in 1955, about 60 years ago, out of those 500 companies, 89% of the companies don't exist today. They're out of the Fortune 500 list in about 60 years. They were the best companies in 1955. In 2019, 2020, they probably don't exist. This is the sheer destruction of industries, companies, and products that is taking place today. Customer expectation is faster, better, and cheaper. Customer is expecting that you turn out products and services and solutions to them at a faster pace with better quality at cheaper price. And that is happening because of market evolution. Market is tempting the customer with new products, with new solutions. We took about 300 years to invent the wheel. Today, Apple introduces a new iPhone, new model of iPhone almost every year. That's the pace at which evolution is taking place. Market evolution is taking place. We probably get to see a new model of a smartphone in the market every day, by some company or other. Because of that market evolution, customer expectation is also just going up. They're expecting their service providers and their vendors to provide them products and solutions at a faster, better, and cheaper pace. Decreasing product life cycle. I talked about human beings taking 300 years to manufacture, to invent the wheel. Today, as a new iPhone comes in 1 year or less than a year, a new model gets introduced almost every day by some company or other. There is a rise in globalization. So on one hand, we are seeing globalization. We are seeing companies going global, manufacturing global. There are consumers, there are companies in the US, there are consumers in the US, the products are being manufactured in China, in Asian countries. Supply chain is through across different continents, and there are raw material suppliers who are spread across different parts. It's times of localization, but at the same time, there is a trend towards localization. There's an interesting blend of global and local, which we call globalization. Moral capitalism is on the rise. Moral capitalism is all about organizations becoming more conscious about their responsibility to the society, their responsibility to the humankind. Now let's talk about what's happening at the workplace. We talked about what's happening at the industry. Let's listen to some of the narratives about the trends at the workplace. So friends, we have a gig economy today. A gig economy is an economy where we don't have many full-time employees in organizations. We have contract employees, we have part-time employees, we have freelancers, we have employees working for multiple employers at the same time. This is the future. Examples of your Swiggy delivery boy. That person might be working for 2 or 3 different companies, probably doing delivery for Swiggy for 3 hours every day, and then working for another organization and doing something else. So gig economy is on the rise. Distributed working. So earlier people used to come to the office, to the workplace, work from their offices for about 8 or 9 hours and used to go back home. Today, people are working from home, they're working from offices, they're working from airport, they're working from the coffee shop, and technology has enabled distributed working. People are actually working from anywhere. Flexible pay structure is another interesting trend that we are seeing at the workplace. Organizations are now going to prefer a flexible pay structure. COVID-19 has really proved how organizations can become vulnerable at times like this. So typically when you don't have any business, you don't have operations, it also becomes difficult for an organization to pay compensation and salaries. So they might switch to a model where they probably would pay for work. And gig economy would only accelerate that. Millennials are the workplace. Millennials are the youngsters who started reaching the workplace in the 2000s. So in the early 2000s, millennials started hitting the workplace. They started making an entry into the workplace, and their numbers are going to increase. By 2025, 3 out of 4 workers at the workplace will be millennials. Organizations are going to value skills over qualification. There are 15 reputed organizations. Global organizations have already announced that they are not going to look at qualification for the selection of professionals into their organization. They're going to look at skills. They're going to look at their fitment. They're going to look at the experience or the capability they bring in. So selection is going to be basis merit and not so much about qualification. Massive job loss due to automation. Because of automation, we'll see thousands of people are losing their jobs. There are predictions that in the next few years, about 14% of the workforce across the globe will move to new occupational categories, which means the job that they're doing today will no longer be required. Coding is becoming automated now. Testing in the software field is getting automated now. The customer relations in hotels, in hospitals, they're getting automated now. Many parts of the call center industry where human interactions are important today are getting automated in near future. So there's going to be a massive job loss due to automation. Interestingly, we'll also see men and machines working together at the workplace. At the workplace, we will see a coexistence of human beings and machines. Interestingly, we will see unemployment on one hand and unfilled jobs on the other. So you will see organizations, you'll see jobs are not filled because they're not finding the niche skills. With technology changing every day, people need to be skilled on new technologies almost every day. So there is clearly a big scarcity of talent. At the same time, you're going to see the talent war is over. The winner is talent and not the corporations. Corporations all these years were trying to get the best talent, but the talent is the winner. Corporations will now have to try and see how can they attract, retain, and engage and make them happy. So these are some of the trends that we are seeing at the workplace. So these trends talk about a few things which look positive, optimistic, but it also talks about a few things which look scary, challenging, difficult. When we talk about gig economy, when we talk about massive job losses, when we talk about unemployment, when we talk about qualification not being considered as so important as skills, some of these also appear to be scary. And coupled with the uncertainty and the volatility in the environment, COVID-19 and other black swan events bringing about large-scale ramifications and massive impact on industry and economy and on jobs, these moments are challenging moments, turbulent moments, and difficult moments. But before we talk about how do we really future-proof ourselves about a career which is not known yet, about a future which is unknown and uncertain, I would like to tell you two things. The first thing is tough times don't last. Tough people do. So difficult times, challenging times, unprecedented times, tough times do not last forever. But who last are the tough people who are determined, strong, resolute, who have the never say die spirit, and who are resilient. They are going to survive. Another important quotation by a very famous personality I would like to quote here is, life is not so much about what happens to us. Life is just about 10% what happens to us, but it is 90% how we respond to what happens to us. COVID-19, which is responsible for what's happening to us, but it's our response to COVID-19 that is going to determine what our life or how our life is going to shape up. Whether I respond to COVID-19 by looking at it as a crisis and demoralized about it, or am I going to look at COVID-19 as an opportunity, as a possibility, and look at it very differently. When the lockdown was announced in the month of March, there was a couple in Maharashtra. This couple, for many, many years, were thinking about digging a well in their courtyard. They had a huge courtyard and they had a lot of space there. And in their city or town where they used to live, had a water scarce well in their courtyard so that they don't have scarcity of water. And believe it or not, students, they used this opportunity of this 21 days lockdown and they dug up the well in their courtyard, which they could not do for many years, looking at a crisis as an opportunity and making the most of it are the tough people who can actually respond to situations very positively and then convert a crisis into a possibility or an opportunity. Now, friends, let's talk about how do we really make ourselves future-proof. in a world which is uncertain, unknown, volatile, and complex. So I'm going to share with you, my dear friends, 7 traits which are important. 7. These 7 traits that you need to go take back with you. Apply these 7 traits day in and day out. And I can assure you that you would be very confident about future-proofing your career. Let's start with the first one. The first one is this: solve people's problems. Solve people's problems. If you become a problem solver, no matter where you are, which company you're working for, which organization you're working for, if you become a problem solver, if you can solve people's problems, you would be required forever. Organizations will need you. Enterprises will love you. Your managers and business leaders will want to retain you always. They would not like to lose you. Be a problem solver. Think about yourself in the college, at the workplace, at home. Are you a problem solver, or are you somebody who keeps cribbing and complaining about problems? Complaining about problems is about reacting to problems. Solving problems is about responding to problems. Remember, we talked about life is how we respond, not what happens to us. So, solving people's problems. Look at yourself and then determine whether you are a problem solver or you are somebody who keeps cribbing about problems. So if I am your hiring manager and you have come to me for an interview, if I select you and if you keep complaining about your workspace, the food that you get at the cafeteria, the transport that you get for the commute from your home to office, the behavior of your colleagues, if you keep complaining all the time, I know that, well, I already have so many problems as a manager, as a leader. But this guy, I hired him thinking he will help me solve my problems. But he's bringing additional problems to me. So I'm not going to like you. I'm not be very keen to retain you in my team. The important thing is to become a problem solver for your manager, for your team, for your organization. You'll be loved. That's the first step to future-proof your career in the midst of all the uncertainties and the disruption which is happening all around us. The second trait, my dear friends, develop this habit. It's a very important habit. This habit is called lifelong learning. Tomorrow is uncertain, future is unknown. Whether my jobs will be there or not, I don't know. I may have to switch my job. I may have to pick up a new technology. I may have to understand a new way of doing things. And I may have to do it all my life. I may have to move to a different city. I may have to do a different kind of work. And I may have to learn all the time. My role might change. My job might change. My company might change. My city might change. And every time I pick up something new, I may have to learn something new. Why can't I become proactive and develop a lifelong learning habit? Apart from my curriculum that I'm continuing, whether it's an engineering degree or an MBA program or any other qualification that I'm pursuing, and I know that I'm going to complete that next year or the year after, but am I going to stop learning? If I do that, I'm dead. I need to keep learning all my life to survive in this world. Organizations like Nokia, Kodak, cameras, etc., they did not survive because they could not keep learning as an organization. The competition came with new ideas. They introduced new way of doing things, and they were falling behind. They're falling behind because they stopped learning. The same thing applies to individuals like me. If you really want to future-proof your career against uncertainties of the future, then you must develop this habit. If you don't have this habit, you're going to have difficulties in life. Let's look at the next one. Always become an early adopter. When I say an early adopter, become the first one to adopt. Don't try to be the best. And that's what the founder of Alibaba, the great retail e-commerce giant, Jack Ma, has said that don't try to be the best. If you become the best, it's wonderful. This is fantastic. But be the first one to do something. Be the first one to try. Be the first one to implement a new idea. Be the first one to learn a new technology before others learn it. If you become an early mover, you would have a huge advantage. People who learn the same technology mode all the time. But if you are the one who become the first one to learn a new technology, adopt a new method, try out a new approach, you are going to succeed. If you are going to start an enterprise, if you want to become a startup entrepreneur, this is something that you must keep in mind. You may have a great idea, you may have the best idea with you, but if you're not the first one to reach your customers, somebody else will pick up your idea and will reach the customer faster than you can, and you're going to lose them. Future-proof your career. See what is changing, what is new that is coming, forecast it, predict it, be able to see that before it comes, adopt it. You will survive, and not just survive, you're going to thrive as well. Next one, create your own brand. This is important in this world of competition, which is crowded space. It is important that you stand out. It's important that you're visible. It's important that people can take notice of you. Create your own brand. Create your own identity. People can see you. People can look at you as a brand. Your brand can be you are a problem solver. Your brand can be you are a technology expert. Your brand can be you are a business strategist. Your brand can be you are a great speaker. You are a great orator. Make your own brand. Make it visible. It's not just enough to become the best. It's not enough to become a master, but you need to be visible. You need to create your own brand. People should be able to see that. Create your LinkedIn profile. Create a blog site. Start writing blogs. Maybe you have a YouTube channel. Create your videos about some interesting wisdom that you bring to this world. Present that. Use opportunities to brand yourself. Creating in your own brand in the midst of a crowded space is very important. We call this face in the crowd. You need to become the face in the crowd if you really want to future-proof your career. Next one, never be in a romantic relationship with your industry or job, because your industry may not exist tomorrow. What has COVID-19 done to many industries? Today, the aircrafts are not flying. Real estate companies are not selling buildings anymore. There are companies which manufacture baggages and suitcases and briefcases are not selling them because people are not traveling. If they don't travel, they don't need to buy suitcases and briefcases or backpacks. So you don't know. Your industry may not exist tomorrow. It might just die down. You know. I was giving the example of medical devices, very sophisticated medical devices which are used in hospitals, in operation theaters. A doctor who uses that medical device or an instrument in an operation theater is a doctor. He is not a technology expert, but a doctor today has to understand technology. Doctor has to know how to use sophisticated technologies. The technologist who has developed that product the medical device, needs to understand medicine, needs to understand some aspects of healthcare. So it's important that you understand the domain, you understand the technology, you understand the subject matter, you understand the context. I was giving the example of a device that Google has invented. This device can read the retina of a human eye and predict if that person is going to have cancer in next 6 months. Very, very powerful, useful device which can actually save the humankind. If you can predict that somebody may contact or may get affected by cancer in the next 6 months, this is going to save the humanity. Many lives can be saved. Many people can just become careful and then take precautionary medical help. So this powerful device, which can read the retina of human eye and can predict if a person will have cancer in 6 months, please tell me, who would have invented it? An eye specialist, or a cancer specialist, or an artificial intelligence engineer, or a computer scientist? Who would have invented it? Possibly, multiple people would have worked on that, but each one of them would know not just their specialization, they would also know very well, but to a great extent, the specialization of other people. So the eye specialist who's working on this project would also know more about cancer as a disease. And both of them would also know technology, how artificial intelligence works, how data analytics works, how computer science works, how mechanical engineering works. And some of them, this technologists should also understand medicine, understand healthcare. So these are times of multiple specialties. And today we talk about a T principle. T looks like this: a broad perspective on top and a single linear line, a perpendicular line, a vertical line below that. So this symbolizes two things. The vertical line symbolizes that you need to go deep into one area, become the best, have as much knowledge that you can gather in that subject, go for it, be the best in that. And the horizontal line on top, that symbolizes a broad spectrum of knowledge. Develop many other skills. Be the best in one area, but develop many other skills, because these are times of convergence. Time of convergence of technologies, convergence of knowledge coming together, creating new body of knowledge. So that's why these are times of multiple specialties. And today, educational institutions have started including multiple specialties in the curriculum. A student of economics today is taught technology, computer science. A student of computer science is taught economics or language, or various other industry domains. They're taught business and so on. So develop multiple specialties. Who knows that your specialty, where you are the best, may not remain relevant in future. That field might just become obsolete. But if you have got multiple specialties, then you can always switch from one career to another, and you'll be in a position to future-proof your career. So friends, these are the 7 attributes, 7 traits that you need to develop if you want to future-proof your career in these times, which are highly uncertain, turbulent, unpredictable, and unknown. So once again, a quick recap of the 7 attributes or 7 traits. First one, solve people's problems. Be a problem solver. Second one, develop lifelong learning. Lifelong learning habit. Third one, become an early adopter. Be the first one to adopt a new technology, new business model, new way of doing things. Next one, create your own brand. Be the face in the crowd. Stand out in the crowd. Become visible. Never be in a romantic relationship with your industry or with your job, because they may go away. They may become obsolete. So be prepared for change. Be prepared to change your industry, change your job, change change your city, be flexible. Don't think that I'm going to work only in this industry, this particular company, this particular city. I'm not going to move out of this. Don't do that. Next one, assume that one day you'd be laid off. This trait tells you that be prepared for uncertainties. If you're prepared, your adversity or hardships will become less painful and will give you the confidence to deal with them better. Develop multiple specialties. The last one. Develop specializations in multiple areas. Become an expert in one, become good at many. These are the 7 attributes, the 7 traits which are absolutely important, which can make you stand out in the times of crisis and which can help you future-proof your career. I would like to pause here and wait for you and be happy to answer if you have any questions.